Hey guys, this is Mynn here again. I am ready to do another craft therapy session with y'all. I feel these are really cathartic, and I just got some really bad news about a young woman who I used to work with as a teenager taking her own life. And so I kind of wanted to talk today about some really heavy stuff, but I feel like I can only work through it if I'm also coloring. So I'm going to be coloring this image. I don't know where it's from. I got it because it just kind of reminds me of the innocence of childhood, and so I'm kind of wanting to be taken back to that type of a setting right now. I'm sure that all of us have experienced grief in our life, but for some reason this one's hitting me hard. So I think I might do what I call teacher coloring, which is where I use marker to outline stuff, and then I color the inside with colored pencils. Sorry, I'm using a paintbrush. I'm a little bit scattered today. So that's what I think we're gonna do. Anyway, so I kind of wanted to just talk to everybody about grief and loss and how we can help support one another, because things are really kind of not happy right now. I recognize that. Being inside, being alone is really difficult. And when you couple that with other hard things, I feel like right now is a really good time for all of us to kind of band together and to make a promise to each other that we will be there to help. Because one thing that I regret when it comes to this poor young woman is that I did not reach out as much as I probably should have, or I would have wanted to. That doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. I do know that. I know that I'm not a bad person. I know that people make choices and we can't undo those choices. We can't make choices for people as much as we would love to, because especially when it comes to children or people that we feel kind of like a responsibility for, it'd be so much easier if we could just make the decisions for them, but we can't. But what we can do is we can support. And so how do we do that? I feel like the biggest thing is to listen. We need to be willing to listen to others' pain and not judge it, to just say, yes, you have pain, and this sounds like it's big. And instead of judging them and saying, well, if you would do X, Y, and Z, instead of doing that, saying, you know, it sounds to me like maybe you need to work through things. I'm here to talk to you if you need me, but you might also want to see someone who can help you more than I can. If somebody comes to you and they say that they're going to commit suicide, don't shut them out. Talk to them. Talking to someone about suicide is not going to make them commit suicide. Talking about suicide to a person who is suicidal has actually been proven to save lives. So if someone comes to you, talk to them, ask them if they have a plan, ask them how you can help them make the choice to stay. And like I said, a lot of this has to do with not judging, which is so hard. It's so hard when it comes to teenagers and kids that you just know, like, they don't understand that things can get better. And people in general sometimes feel like they're just in a place where things are not going to get better. And I know that because I've been there. And the things that saved me were people who really cared about me. And that's why I am very passionate about talking to people about their feelings and about talking to other people who can give them help. Like, you don't have to be their therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist. I kind of wish I was sometimes, but I'm not. And so being willing to take a step back and say, you know, I'm not that person. I can't help you, but there's somebody who can. Are you willing to go there? And if they say no, say, okay, well, is it okay if I check in? And then check in, and then go back and say, okay, Are you willing to talk to someone and we can find someone together? And just being that person that's consistent but not judgmental. Because the way that I found help was someone who would say, hey, did you call today? And I would say, no, I didn't. And then they would say, okay, I'll call again tomorrow about it. And then we would sit and chat about something else completely unrelated. And I knew that she loved me and that she wasn't going to judge me. And because I eventually realized that, after a week, I did call and I did get help. And I'm not saying that that might happen to the person that you love who is really struggling right away. They might not get help after a week. It might take longer. And it's okay to put in boundaries. It's okay to say, when you get like this, I can't handle it, so I'm going to have to take a step back, but I'll check in again later. Or you can call me later to check in if you feel like you need to. Things like that. It's okay to set boundaries. But the hardest thing, I think, is the judgment thing. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk a little bit about too. So when somebody is in the middle of a mental health crisis, telling them to calm down is not going to help. Okay? I know this from experience, from personal experience, and also experience with other people. Telling someone to calm down is not going to help. Telling someone that you understand and that what they're going through sounds really difficult will help. Just listen, acknowledge, and validate feelings. It sounds like you're feeling this way. How can I help you? Don't ever say things like, well, you know, you might be going through a hard time, but at least you have X, Y, and Z. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. That's very unhelpful. And that is a little bit judgmental because you're saying you're not being grateful for what you have. And that's not necessarily true. People can be grateful for what they have, but be having a hard time. And that's okay. So we need to remember that we listen, we validate feelings, and we set those boundaries. We say, you know, this is something that I don't think I can help you with. How can we find someone to help you? And if they're not quite willing to get help yet, you say, okay, well, I need to take a break, but I will come back tomorrow. And even if they get mad at you, because they might get mad at you if you say that. I know there were times when I would get upset at people for saying things like, I can't handle this right now. And so basically just be consistent, because even if I get upset at those people, I know now that was my mental illness, and that because they were consistent and came back, I was able to continue to trust them, and that's why I was able to get the help that I needed, because of that consistency. And so it has to do a lot with the not being judgmental, and also compassion, and wanting to help people, and wanting to love people for who they are in that moment, which I think can be scary sometimes, because we don't want to condone things that we think are wrong. We don't want to condone behavior that seems out of control and something that shouldn't be happening. Like, that goes against our nature. We don't want to validate that. We want people who are gonna like act predictably around us, and we want people who are gonna make us feel safe for the most part. Some people don't feel that way, but that's a whole other story that we won't talk about today. Being the type of person who can forgive, and being the type of person who somebody can come later and say, I'm so sorry that I acted this way around you, is more helpful than being the type of person who's going to get rid of people. And I say this as somebody who used to be the type of person who got rid of people, because I would say, you know, they're not really helping me, they're toxic. Now, are there toxic people? Yes. If they're not willing to change, can you set a boundary that says, I can't be around you when you're like this? Yes. But what I'm basically saying is, instead of being the person who gives up on others, we need to be the person who's there when they decide that they want to change. And we need to be the type of people who are willing to also change, because we don't know everything. We don't know everything about everyone. And I think one of the things that concerns me the most about our society right now is the fact that instead of trying to understand people, it's my way or else nothing. So in our government in the United States right now, we have people who are saying it's my way or nothing. And so nothing's getting done because both sides are saying my way or nothing, which is why I'm unaffiliated with a political party. Feel free to disagree with me. I'm okay with that. But I can't condone my way or nothing, because where that's coming from is a place where your life and your experiences are the only ones that matter. And that's just not how life is. Like, everybody has such different stories and such different experiences that we need each other. We need to be able to learn from each other. We need to be able to sit down and talk to one another about things that are bothering us or things that we think and feel, without worrying that it's gonna lead to people canceling us or hating us or deciding that they don't want to be around us anymore just because of a difference of opinion. Like, I guess I don't understand how people can't see how silly that is. People are getting rid of friends that they've had for years, or prejudging people that they've never even known because they don't agree with their opinions. Oh, I'm sad about that. But anyway, so if you have somebody in your life that struggles with mental health issues, be consistent, be there. If you are someone who is struggling with a mental health problem, please know that you're not alone. I've been there. My mental illness is not the same as your mental illness. I will never be able to understand exactly what you're going through, but I do know what it feels like to be hopeless, and I do know what it feels like to think that it doesn't matter if you're here or not. And the truth of the matter is, all of those feelings that you're feeling are lies. It is your mental health issue. Do not give in to it. If you need to, find someone that you can trust. If you feel like you can, please get help from a mental health provider, because I will tell you, that is something that has really helped me. If you get a therapist and you are feeling like you're not getting better, or you feel worse after a therapy session, it's time to find a different therapist. So I've been really lucky with the therapist that I've been able to work with. My first initial therapist was exactly what I needed at the time. And then my therapist that I have now, again, is exactly what I need her to be. But I know that not everybody is like that. Not everybody has that experience of someone who they get along with. So if you start to feel like your mental health provider is making it worse, find someone else. If you can never find someone who can help, what is the common denominator there? That's something that I've also had to say to myself, like, because I would be like, why do I always have X, Y, and Z happen to me? And then I started to think about it and I realized, oh, because I'm the one that needs to change my behavior. So I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not saying that you're a bad person. I'm not saying that, whatever therapist you're needing to leave is somebody that you should stay with. What I'm saying is, if you find yourself continually changing your therapist, or changing your friends, or changing your job because people don't like you or you're a victim, what is the real common denominator there? That was something I really had to learn, and I kind of learned it the hard way, and it hurt so bad. But I've been so much happier since I did learn that. So, next topic maybe. This is a really heavy conversation, and I'm sorry. So the other thing too, those of you who have had a family member who's chosen to take their own life and completed suicide, those of you who have family members who have passed away, just in general, grief is natural. Lean into it and trust the process. Feel your feelings. Do what you need to do to deal with them in a healthy way. Reach out for help. Go to a counselor if you need help. As I reached out to the family of the sweet girl that we lost on Friday, it was really cathartic to get to talk to them and share my memories of her being a sweet 12-year-old girl instead of the troubled woman that she did become. Because I know in my heart of hearts that she's that sweet girl. She's not the poor choices and the sadness that she ended up suffering through. And that's the other thing. Always remember that people have great worth and great potential, and our behaviors don't necessarily define us. We can change at any point in time. Anybody can change. It's just a fact. So at any point in time, know that you can change. Not only can you change, but you should change. I used to be really afraid of change. It scared me. And while I'm still not 100% the best, I think I do better, a lot better with change now. And as a matter of fact, earlier today, I was talking to someone who I used to consider someone who persecuted me and was unkind to me. And we had a very nice conversation because I've changed my attitude about the situation. And so people can change, situations can change, allow others to change, and allow yourself to change. Because when we change and grow, we become better. These are some funky psychedelic looking mushrooms today, friends. I'm trying to decide if I want to do sky, and I think I do. I think I want to do a nice light sky around it. So that just means we get to chat for a little bit longer. This has been so heavy. Let me think of something lighter that we could talk about. My dog cracks me up. We got her as a rescue. And speaking of change, she has changed so very much since we got her. So very much. Like, for the better. Absolutely for the better. She used to be just this nervous ball of energy that just could not control her anxiety, which is interesting because that's how I've been in the past. So it's kind of like she's me in a way, you know, just like your children exhibit behaviors like you. I think our pets do too. So she's this nervous ball of energy, and she has done so well as we've sought out different ways to help her just feel safe. And that kind of goes along with what we're talking about too. Be that safe place for people. Be that safe place where people want to come and talk, where they want to share, and they know that they can set boundaries with you. They can say, I need your advice, and you're going to give your advice freely. Or they can say, I just need you to listen, and you're just going to sit and listen. Because sometimes that's what people need. Sometimes people just need to talk it out. Like I'm talking it out now with you guys. That's why I call it craft therapy, because I'm talking to you, and I know I'll get responses from you in the comments and everything, but just being able to talk is helping me realize a whole bunch of different things that I can do better or differently with the teenagers that I work with now to help them. Like, I know that I need to make sure that I'm checking in with them about them, that I want to know about them. I don't necessarily want to know about school or other things like that. I want to know about them. We're going to do some movement around these mushrooms by doing some dark pencil marks. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm liking the movement. This is a lighter blue. Maybe do an ombre. I feel like as I get over to this side, it's more chaotic, whereas this side is more structured, which I think is funny. It's like, this is the left side of my brain. This is the right side of my brain. Chaotic and artistic. Oh, goodness. So what's up with you guys? I really hope everybody's doing okay with being in lockdown and quarantine. I hope that you're able to still kind of get out, because I know that it's really important for us to be able to get out and be with people we love. And even if it's not people that we love, like, there are times that I'm just like, I've got to get out of this house. I gotta get out. And so I'll go for a drive. I went to the doctor the other day. It was kind of cathartic because I've got a sinus infection right now. So you'll probably hear me talk about that through the rest of my videos this month. I'm loving the way that's looking. That looks really cool, actually. I'm gonna keep going. Anyway, so just going to the doctor, which I think is crazy that like was kind of a highlight of my week. Being able to get out of the house. I didn't really want to go because I had hoped that whatever I had wouldn't be a sinus infection and it would just, you know, kind of go away. That did not happen. Did not happen, my friends. Don't be like me. Well, actually, when I went, because I had had it for like 8 days, and my husband kept saying, you should go. And everybody was like, you need to go in. But when I went in, they were like, you know, usually we don't diagnose these unless it's been 10 days. And I was like, girl, I ain't waiting for 10 days. You need to give me the medicine now. Luckily, she agreed with me because she looked and she saw everything that was going on. Isn't it weird how we can create motion by the way that we do lines? And isn't it interesting how certain images can make us feel certain ways? Like, for some reason, this image makes me feel playful and like I just want to go outside. Whereas for somebody else, it might make them nostalgic for childhood. I just find it interesting. I really like this. I think it looks good. I think I'm going to color in the grass all the way to the bottom now. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like, we don't know. We don't know what people are going through, and we don't know what experiences they've had in their lives. So don't assume things. Don't assume that because you grew up in a family where everybody brushed their teeth before they went to bed and bedtime was at this time, that's going to happen for everybody. Don't assume that because your parents read to you when you went to bed that everybody gets that. Don't assume that because you grew up in a family where mom and dad worked but you had enough food that everybody has that, because not everybody has that. Not every single person in this country, in this world, have safety and security. But also, on the flip side, understand that some people do have that. And while it might seem unfair, we all get what we need in order to learn and grow. I was given a mental health issue. And that's my life. That's something that I'm learning to understand more. I'm trying to put more motion in the grass. I don't know if it's going to work or not, you guys. I don't know how I feel about that. It looks a little crazy. I'm going to keep working at it. Anyway, so I have a mental health issue, and that now that I'm older, I'm glad that I know about it. I'm glad that I know what it is. I'm glad that I'm able to work through it. I'm glad that I'm able to know when I need to get help, because I'm not in therapy all the time. I'm just in therapy when I feel like I need to. And the coronavirus and COVID, yeah, I've Okay, that looks super fun. And now I think what I'm gonna do, let's see if this blending pen will blend it. Just kind of blend it together. Oh yeah, that's working. So I'm just gonna kind of blend it in. And this is interesting too, just thinking about the blending. As I blend this, it's like, you know, sometimes the darkest part of our lives, like out in here, can blend in to help make the rest of our life a little bit more beautiful. Because sometimes we need those dark times to create our final piece of artwork, which will be ourselves, because we are always works in progress. And so when we learn to blend and allow those dark times to blend and change our good times to give them more vibrancy or whatever. Look how pretty that is when it blended. I super love that. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with some white opal liquid pearls, which is one of my favorites, and put that into the little dots, and we'll see how that looks. That'll just give it a little bit dimension. And then I'm thinking this little snail dude, he needs some glitter, because this would not be throwback to childhood without glitter for me. Although I'm grateful that we now have stickles and glitter glues instead of just straight glitter, because good grief, that makes a mess. I'm a second grade teacher, as I've told you multiple times, and so anytime we do anything with glitter, like, we do it as a small group and I help, because they do not realize how hard it is to clean up. And one time I had a friend who did not listen, and he made a huge mess, and I helped him clean it up a little bit, but he was just like, I didn't know it was gonna do this. I was like, I know, that's why I told you to make sure that you weren't like flinging stuff around, my friend. Let's go in with some diamond stickles. But it's okay, we worked it out. We worked it out. So be that person, you guys. Be the person who's willing to say, you know, we made a mistake and that's okay. Be that person who's willing to say, I'm worried about you and I feel like you might be contemplating suicide. And then if they say they are, be willing to ask more questions and find out more. Love the people around you, even if you don't agree with them, because you never know when they'll be gone and when you won't be able to hug them again, and you won't be able to tell them how important they were to you. And then when they do leave you, because people leave us, unfortunately it's true, just know that they can feel our love for them, because I truly believe that they can. And that's pretty much all I have to say today. Like I said at the beginning, sorry this is kind of dark. Not dark, just deep. This is kind of deep, but it was something that I needed to do and something that I needed to say to you all. So thank you for listening. And I'm not sure if I'll ever do anything with this, but maybe one day I'll take this and the other things that I do for craft therapy and turn them into cards. That would be a fun craft therapy, turning everything I colored into cards. Anyway, I hope all of you are well, and I hope that you know that you're loved. Go and make a difference today. Hugs and happy crafting, friends. Bye.